Good morning and welcome to the RSEA's live statewide chapters meeting. We welcome you all to this morning's webinar. We hope that you find this technical way in which the presentation is being given today to be a good way to be in a meeting without having to travel too far and be able to hear from all of the officials of RSEA as they make their presentations today. I'm Kenny Bove. I'll be your moderator today. Access Today Health is sponsoring today's presentation. And our presenters this morning will be Mr. David Thomas, your RSEA president, Mr. Jimmy Anthony, the RSEA administrative director. Mr. Trey Boudreau will be speaking on behalf of MyLasers. He's chief of staff. Wendy Landry will be speaking on behalf of the Office of Group Benefits. Frank Joubert is your Legislative and Government Affairs Director. And then again, I'm Kenny Bove with Access Today Health. The format of today's presentation is set up so that you will be able to ask questions during the presentation via the chat window you should be able to find on the right-hand side of your screen. So if you'll type that message, we here in the Access Today office we'll be taking those questions and then we will direct those to the appropriate person at the appropriate time when those should come up. But I would say that the majority of the questions we will hold to the end of the presentation and then direct them to you at that point in time. So without any further ado, other than one other notice, we will be recording today's presentation and it will be available on the RSEA website probably sometime late tomorrow. It'll be posted so it can be shared. And so as we move forward, Mr. David Thomas will be presenting first. And David, if you can unmute your microphone, you are ready to go, sir.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here, and on behalf of the RSEA Board of Directors and staff, we welcome everybody to the RSEA chapter live webinar. You may wonder why we're doing this again this year and not face-to-face. Well, we had originally planned on doing face-to-face, and we had all our chapter locations booked and ready to go. But then the board of directors met in January face-to-face for the first time in quite a while. And unfortunately, we had a few become ill with COVID following that. After the January meeting and that episode, as I mentioned in the last newsletter, we had a rediscussion on the feasibility of doing the face-to-face meetings. And we opted to take the most cautious approach with our members since many of them are elderly and many have other medical conditions that are of concern. So we took the most cautious approach and we decided not to do the face-to-face again this year. And at that time, fortunately, Access Today had approached Jimmy Anthony and said, after they had heard that we would not be doing face-to-face, and offered up to do a live webinar. Last year, we recorded the sessions and posted the sessions on the website. But after Access Today made that offer, and we had a meeting shortly after that, and we discussed the possibilities of it, we said, let's go for it. And I'm glad we did. And I thank Access Today very much for offering that service and for hosting this today. It's a great benefit. We had I think over 300 register for this session, and I can see right now there's approximately 130 attending at this very moment. So yeah, that's a little bit about why we got here. And again, thanks to Access Today for hosting this. A little bit about the structure today. We're structuring today's meeting very similar to our chapter meetings. We'll start off with an update from RSEA, and we'll move into discussions with MyLasers and Office of Group Benefits. After that, Frank Joubert, with our RSEA's Legislative Director, will present on this session and some of the important matters being discussed. And then after that, Access Today will give us a briefing on their services. And should there be time enough at the end, and I'm sure there will be, we'll do a question and answer session. And like the like Kenny said earlier, please use the chat function to present your questions, and we'll get to them as we come up. I want to give a thank you to all the members that are present. Y'all are vitally important to the operation of this organization, and we really appreciate your membership. Special thanks and welcome to all the non-members, and we hope there are a number of non-members that are present. And we would like to extend a very sincere invitation to you to join RSEA. Membership is important, as I mentioned. Our motto is working today for your tomorrow, which points out that our primary mission really is to protect retirees' benefits that you work so hard through your career to attain. So again, thank you for being here. Non-members, it's very easy to become a member. You can simply go to our website, the rseala.org, and sign up through there, or simply call the office and join in. A very easy process. Membership is only $18 a year. For Lasers retirees, we strongly encourage them to do Lasers payroll deduction, which is a mere $1.50 a month, and it makes our paperwork much easier, saves a bunch of money on mail-outs and paperwork. In fact, we've tried very hard to keep our membership costs down. We're not going up on costs on probably over 10 years. So we've been successful in keeping our costs down. As you can see on the slide that's right here, I think most, if not all, of our chapter presidents are attending today. There's a list of the chapter presidents in front of you. If you have any questions that are specific to a chapter, you can please do so, and that chapter president will respond at the end. Again, thank you for attending. We welcome everybody to be here. Unfortunately, we can't do refreshments through the phone, but I've got my coffee sitting here. I hope you've got some refreshments standing by. I'll go to this next speaker in just a second, but I would also like to wish everybody a blessed Easter week with this very important week that we're in right now. Next up for our discussions will be Jimmy Anthony, who's Administrative Director for RSEA. So Jimmy, I guess you can go ahead and take over now.
Jimmy, your mic shows to be open. Okay, Jimmy, we're having an audio difficulty with you right now. Can you check your mic button? I show you to be open. Okay. Try another button, Jimmy. We're still not hearing you. There, okay, you've muted. Now try to unmute, please. Now try again. Okay. Still having difficulty, Jimmy. We are not hearing you. We had you this morning and may need you to log out and log back in. If everyone will just bear with us, let's let Jimmy log out and log back into the system. Jimmy, can you please log out and log off the system and log back in, please? Let's give him just a few minutes to be able to get back into the system. Unfortunately, technology just isn't always our friend, and at the most inopportune times, it fouls us up. But let's give him just a few minutes and let him log back in and see if we can get it rolling.
Okay, I'm back in. How about now?
And
Can you hear
Jimmy,
me?
you are in and you're speaking. We can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead, sir.
All right, good deal. I want to thank everyone for attending our first ever webinar. It's been a while since we've been able to see each other, but hopefully you'll get some information today. I want to first thank Access Today, specifically Scott Johnson and Kenny Bove for allowing us to do this. They've been great partners, and hopefully you can visit some of their clinics. They'll have a presentation later on. I want to talk to you about our foundation scholarship for a little while. The RSEA Foundation, which is a nonprofit that's connected with us, always wanted to do a scholarship to send either an RSEA member or an RSEA member's grandchild or child, help them through their college years. So we've been offering a $1,000 scholarship. Did our first one last year, and we're offering one this year. You have until April 29th to apply for that scholarship. It will be a $1,000 scholarship payable to the institution. And right now, we only have one application for it. So if you know someone that has a child that's in college and needs a little bit of help, please reach out to them and send us an application. Again, you have until the 29th to do so. Some of our costs we've been trying to get down so that we can make ends meet. And one of those things is we spend a lot of money on our newsletter. Costs quite a bit to mail it, quite a bit to print it. And we're asking for all our members to opt out of the newsletter in the printed form, and we will send you a digital copy. As always, you can opt back in if you want to, but it would save us quite a bit of money if you would take our newsletter digitally only. We're not going to drop you automatically. We're not going to drop you at all unless you give us permission. So consider that, and hopefully we'll save a little money that way. One of the things that we like to do is to email our people, our members, to let them know about important information. And that's the way Frank Jobert can communicate with you when there's important legislation about to hit the fan. This Monday, the Senate Finance Committee is meeting, and Frank's going to talk about that. But we sent out emails last week to everyone to kind of mobilize everyone. This is very important to you. And I hope that you will send us your email if you haven't already. We need that email in order to communicate with you, especially when it's very timely that you get on and talk to your representative or senator. So consider giving us your email. We're not going to flood you with a lot of unnecessary stuff, but we will send you important things, specifically like some of the information from lasers or OGB that is time sensitive. So please give us your email. Right now, we are planning a face-to-face meeting for our October conference. Again, it's going to be held at the Paragon. Hopefully, this pandemic has settled down to the point where we can meet face-to-face. Be good to see everyone. Have a little fun at the Paragon. And the dates for the conference is October 11 and 12. Hope to see you there. I want to shout out to a couple of our members who their members in their chapters thought so much of them for their dedicated volunteer work that they were voted chapter members of the year in those chapters. And you can see there on the slides, Virginia Lee was voted chapter member of the year for Monroe, Mary again for Baton Rouge, and Mike Sorey for Alexandria. The other chapters didn't have anyone elected. So if you know someone who has done a lot of volunteer work in your chapter who is a member, please consider nominating them for chapter member of the year next year. And I don't know how many of you are non-members that are tuned in here, but I'm going to offer you a special deal right now. Right now, if you sign up by June 30, I'm going to give you a membership for half price. Normal price is $18. And right now, the next month or so, you can join us for only $9. You can't get a better deal than that. Some of you may have already gotten a letter from us offering this membership. Please consider joining us if you're not a member already. Thank you very much. Kenny?
Okay, next up we have Mr. Trey Boudreau, who's the Lasers Chief of Staff for a presentation on lasers. So Trey, let me check your mic, see if you're open here. Yes, sir. Trey, your mic is open. You want to go ahead and see if we can hear you?
Thank you.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Good deal. All right. Well, on behalf of Lasers, I want to say thank you for pulling this together. I know it's unfortunate that we have to do this virtually, which has its own issues, but it's better to do it virtually than not do it at all. I want to apologize for Cindy Rougeau, who can't be with us this morning. As Mr. Anthony mentioned, we are dealing with some issues with our Senate Bill 5 and Senate Finance Committee this afternoon. So she is working tirelessly for you to make sure that we can get that issue taken care of. Excuse me, I'll get into it now. The Board of Election results for 2022. We had 3 new active member trustees elected. One, Byron Decato Jr., who is the Director of Civil Service, Tanisha Hutchinson, who is the Director of Office of Planning and Budget, and Amy Matthews, who is an investment manager with the Department of Treasury. Of course, there's no surprise, Barbara McManus was elected unopposed for the retiree position. The financial health of the system in fiscal year 2021, Lasers experienced historic investment returns. Our market value of assets increased by $3.2 billion to where we are now $14.7 billion fund. We had a 35.6% investment return. It's the highest in our history to coincide with our 75th anniversary. So that was very fortunate. The debt owed to Lasers decreased by over $200 million. And during the current fiscal year, the market has been extremely volatile. So we're not seeing those robust returns as we did last year. As I mentioned, Senate Bill 5 by Senator Price is a one-time non-recurring supplemental payment to eligible Lasers retirees and beneficiaries. Why are we doing this instead of a COLA? Because something has to be done. As you all know and have felt, that the average rank and file Lasers employee, retiree, has not had a COLA since 2016. We have $85 million in the experience account, and that will be enough to fund a one-time payment, but not a COLA. A 1.5% COLA would cost us $159 million. So we just felt that it was an important opportunity for us to provide some modicum of a benefit to our retirees. The general COLA costs so much more because it is a monthly benefit increase paid over the life of the retiree and not just a one-time payment. And Lasers had a great market return last year, so the questions are out there is why can't we fund a COLA? Well, COLAs aren't funded by one-year market returns. COLAs are funded through the experience account. And funds are put into this experience account based on Lasers' actuarial return, which is a smoothing method over 5 years of the investment gains and losses, so we do not feel the volatility of the market. Exceptional returns from this past year will be recognized in parts over the next several years instead of all in this year. As we mentioned, that's $3 billion added over the next 5 years. So overall, the 5-period Lasers returns were not always sufficient to deposit funds into the experience account. So what is the Senate Bill 5? As it's currently written, it's a one-time supplemental payment funded by our experience account. The payment will be either the retiree or the beneficiary's current monthly benefit, or $3,000, whichever is less. If passed, you will have your payment no later than September 15th of 2022. So eligibility requirements, the same that we are utilizing for COLAs. It is retiree must have been retired for at least 1 year as of June 30th, 2022, and be at least 60 years of age. And please see our website for any additional information. And as Frank, I'm sure, is going to update you in his presentation, Senate Finance meets today at 1, and it's a very important meeting. If you have been following Senate Bill 5 in the Senate Retirement Committee, Senator Peacock tried to amend the bill to make the payments over 2 years. So he was splitting the payment. He indicated that the $3,000 payment was too much money and wanted to pay it out over 2 years. We successfully beat that amendment down, and now it is being brought up again in Senate Finance. That's where Cindy Rougeau, our fearless leader, is now, hopefully being able to fight back that tide. And more importantly, for the future, we know that this COLA mechanism is not working. We've been meeting with the other 4 systems over the past year, and hopefully next year we'll come with some legislation that will have a better mechanism going forward. Some other bills that are out there, I mean, you may have heard of our new retirement plan. It's somewhat similar to the bill that we proposed in 2018. It's a bipartisan bill which would create a laser-specific retirement plan for our rank and file members hired on or after January 1st of 2024. It provides a defined benefit plan foundation with a defined contribution add-on. It's for new hires. They have a 2-year window to opt out of the program and back into the regular 4 DB plan. We have a built-in COLA for those individuals going forward. We'll see how that goes. House Bill 25, Lasers opposes this legislation. It would limit our investment options available to us. Therefore, we are standing against that one. House Bill 31 and House Bill 32, Laser supports these bills, and it provides a non-recurring lump sum payment for eligible retirees from the non-recurring state revenues, surpluses. House Bill 31 was successful passage in the House Retirement Committee on Thursday. So those are 2 bills you might want to keep an eye out. You can sign up for member connection emails and watch Retirement Committee meetings online on the legislative website. That's legis.la.gov. So back to some familiar topics that we discuss at our meetings are rehired retirees. So if you are returning to work in a Lasers covered agency, you must fill out a form and choose an option. You can either continue receiving your retirement benefit and earn up to 50% of your annual benefit, or suspend your retirement benefit and earn whatever you would like. The agency is supposed to submit this reemployment of retiree form to Lasers within 45 days of your rehire. If that is not done, Lasers assumes that you chose to have your benefit suspended. But if we did not receive the form and you continue to pay your benefit, you will then be required to repay the benefit to Lasers. Some drop information. I know those of you who are interested, rate of return paid in January on eligible non-self-directed plan drop accounts was 9.45%. A word of caution, you can only access drop funds when you terminate from state service, and drop account funds at Lasers or Empower are exempt from state income taxes. So if you roll over your drop funds to another financial provider, you will lose that state income tax exemption. Pop-ups. If you left a lifetime benefit and you are a beneficiary and your beneficiary dies before you, please contact Lasers. Have your benefit you can have your benefit increased to the maximum amount, and if the death occurred on or after June 17th, 2008, pop-up retroactive to the date of beneficiary's death is applied. Otherwise, it is effective when we are notified. And this is when Cindy usually does her do not knock off your beneficiary. The required minimum distributions. If you have a drop or IBO account, the federal government requires you to withdraw some of those funds depending on your age. If you were born on or after July 1st, 1949, you do not have to take this required minimum distribution until you're age 72. However, if you were born before that, you fall under the old rules and must withdraw your funds every year starting at age 70 and a half. You will receive notification from either us or Empower stating the amount of funds you must withdraw. If you have not withdrawn the required amount, we will issue you a payment in December to assist you in avoiding any IRS penalties. Please always remember to consult a tax advisor if you have any questions about your tax liability. In this day and age, we just want to talk about cybersecurity a little. Let me assure you, we are committed to protecting our system and your personal information from cyber attacks. It is an everyday process that we are undertaking. Among many other things, we have launched MyLasers to replace My Member Self-Service. If you have not already done so, you have to create a new username and password and set up a multi-factor authentication. And video instructions are on the website. These necessary steps add security, protect your account, and help prevent online hacking. With MyLasers, you can check the status of applications and request, upload documents, you'll utilize the message center, and request an appointment with a Lasers representative. And we are continually working to add additional features to that system. Federal offsets, one of the favorite topics. So thousands of our retirees are negatively impacted by these federal laws. The windfall elimination provision, or WEP, reduces Social Security benefits you have earned by working in the private sector. The government pension offset reduces spousal benefits. Social Security benefits you will otherwise be entitled to are being reduced because you have earned a Lasers pension. There are some exceptions. I will mention a couple of applicable to the windfall elimination provision that reduces the Social Security you have earned yourself. If you have 30 years of substantial earnings in the private sector, or if you had 10 years of Laser service by September 1st, 1985, those exemptions only applies to the WEP, not the GPO. You can request a Laser letter from us verifying your earliest retirement eligibility date and submit this letter to Social Security for their determination. And you can see our website for more information. Efforts continue to be made by Lasers, RSEA, and many of our elected representatives in the legislature and Congress. And I think Frank will update you on this. We had a contingency go to Washington, D.C. over the Mardi Gras holidays to meet with various members of Congress, certainly all of our Louisiana delegation, but also members from other states to imply the importance of why this needs to be changed. There are a couple of bills going through the process in the federal government that you need to be aware of. So if the first of the month falls on a weekend or holiday, well, the benefit checks are mailed last working day before the first of the month, and funds are sent to your financial institution for availability on the first. Your bank policy is the one who determines the availability of funds on a weekend or holiday. If they are not available, contact your bank. If your bank refuses, contact us and we will send them a letter to try to make sure that they provide those funds available to our retirees. Tax forms, if you receive two 1099-Rs, it could be because you reached the age of 59 and a half during the tax year, or you received your retirement benefit and drop payment or rolled over your lump sum leave payment to a qualified plan. Benefit changes. If the dollar amount on your gross or net benefit changes, Lasers will mail you a payment stub noting the new amount. You can compare the new amount to the old amount online through MyLasers. housekeeping measures, cancellation to cancel, insurance, credit, union, deductions, you have to contact the company that you have those deductions with. If you have any insurance questions, please contact OGB or the last agency you work for. And Medicaid questions, you can contact Social Security Administration. Lasers does not make your member list available to insurance companies or any other commercial entities. If a company comes in and represents itself as being affiliated with Lasers, report it to Lasers at our phone center at 1-800-256-3000. We will not call to set up a meeting in your home. We are hoping to have a retiree workshop set up in July. So be looking for that. And also, if you are still getting a paper check, please consider to be getting direct deposits. We are going to provide a copy of this on our website, as so is RSEA. So if you have any issues or questions, you can contact us by phone or through Ask Lasers on our website. And thank you for the opportunity to present.
Okay, Trey, there are a couple of questions that have come up during your presentation. I think you might be able to answer pretty quickly.
Okay.
So can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, the first question is from Gretchen, and Gretchen's asking, is the Lasers beam still being mailed out? If not, how do we access it?
Yes, Gretchen, the Lasers beam is being mailed out, and you can also access it by signing up for a electronic copy. But yes, we are still mailing it out.
Okay. The second question, I believe you answered during your presentation, but you may want to reiterate. This is from Ronald, and he's asked, when can we expect the one-time benefit payment?
If successful, Ronald, through the legislature, and today is going to be a big day to determine whether or not it goes forward or whether or not it is in the same format as we have presented. But if successfully passed by the legislature, we will have the payment on or before September 15th. And going back to Gretchen's question about the beam, it is all of our beam additions are on our website, so you can go back and look at those too.
Okay, great. Those were two that popped up during your presentation. There may be more later. So, well, here comes one just popped up. It's appropriate too. And this is from Geraldine. Geraldine's asking, are Lasers benefits, excuse me, this is from LaDonna. LaDonna's asking, why does Senate Bill 5 not apply to those under 60?
Because we are following the statutory required regulations for the COLA, and that those specifically set out who is eligible for these benefit payments, and that mechanism allows us to pay it out to the individuals of the 85 million that we had in the account.
Okay. One more question's just popped up for you. It's from Geraldine. Are Lasers benefits taxable in Louisiana for residents in other states? Not sure that I follow that question.
Geraldine, that's a great question. What we usually advise in those situations is that you speak to a tax advisor because we can't counsel on taxes, and we want to make sure that you don't neglect to file if you're supposed to.
Okay. All right. I think those are all those specific questions for Lasers at this point in time. All right. Moving on to our next presenter, we have Wendy Landry from the Office of Group Benefits. So Wendy, we'll wait for your microphone to come live.
I just unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, Wendy.
All right. Again, my name is Wendy Landry, and I'm the Public Information Director for the Office of Group Benefits, and I'd like to thank RSEA for this opportunity to give us a few minutes to talk about some issues that pop up rather frequently for our members. So what we're going to talk about today, mainly Medicare, because that is, it's a beast. As I like to call it, it can be very confusing. So I'm going to briefly go over what you need to know what is Medicare, if you're about to turn 65, how you go about applying for Medicare, the Medicare options available to you through the Office of Group Benefits, and then just some reminders about Medicare. We'll also give an update on the Live Better Louisiana program, Prudential Financial Wellness, changes that in your life that you need to notify OGB of, and then our contact information. So first off, let's talk about what you need to know about Medicare. For a retiree who is currently insured through the Office of Group Benefits, it's never too early to start learning about Medicare and the options that are available to you. The following information is intended to serve as a guide only, and you should contact your local Social Security office for more detailed information. So what is Medicare? Medicare Part A is your hospital insurance, and this helps cover inpatient care in hospitals, care in a skilled nursing facility, hospice care, and some home health care. Part A is free. Medicare Part B helps to cover certain doctors' services, outpatient care, medical supplies, and preventive services. This one does have a premium attached to it. Part C is what you may know as the Medicare Advantage plans. This plan contains both Parts A and B, as well as Part D, which is your prescription drug coverage. OGB does offer several Medicare Advantage plan options for our members, but you need to remember that if you enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan not sponsored by OGB, you will lose your OGB coverage and you cannot re-enroll in OGB coverage. And then you have Medicare Part D, and that is your prescription drug coverage. Now, if you are enrolled in one of the Blue Cross Blue Shield Magnolia plans or the Pelican HRA 1000 plan, your Part D prescription drug coverage is included, so you do not need to purchase a separate Part D plan when you become Medicare eligible. If you do enroll in a separate Part D plan, you will be kicked out of your OGB coverage, and that is simply because the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services, also known as CMS, only allow you to be enrolled in one Medicare Part D plan at a time. So if you're thinking about doing it, you might want to call OGB to make sure that you're not going to lose your OGB coverage when you do that. So if you're not yet 65, you may be wondering what you need to do to apply for Medicare. So 90 days before your 65th birthday is when you can start applying for Medicare. You can call and schedule an appointment with the Social Security office, and the earlier you can do that, the better. It can sometimes take up to 6 weeks to get an appointment with Social Security. It is important to note that OGB rules and state statute require you to enroll in premium-free Part A, and if you are eligible, Part B. Once you are enrolled in Medicare, OGB must be provided with a copy of your Medicare card, and if it is determined that you are not eligible to enroll in Part A, then we'll need, or Part B, we'll need a letter from Social Security stating that you do not have enough credits to be enrolled in Medicare. So again, for that eligibility, provide a copy of your Medicare card, and this goes for your spouse as well. If your spouse is eligible for Medicare and they are covered under your health plan, we need a copy of their Medicare card so that you can get the premium deduction that goes along with that. So how do you apply for Medicare? You must enroll in Medicare if you are retired, you turn 65 on or after July 1st of 2005, you're eligible for Medicare individually or as a dependent. You do not need to enroll if you are not retired yet, or you turned 65 before July 1st, 2005, or you're not eligible for Part A. So the Medicare options that are available to you through OGB are as follows. Your OGB coverage through one of the OGB self-insured plans, which are the Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Louisiana plans, or if you're enrolled in the Vantage Medical Home HMO, that will become your secondary insurance to Medicare. So what that means is Medicare will pay first, and then OGB plan will pay second. In addition to the Blue Cross and Vantage plans, we do have several Medicare Advantage options to members who are on Medicare. And those are the Blue Advantage HMO through Blue Cross and Blue Shield, Humana, People's Health. Vantage Health Plan offers 3 Medicare Advantage plans to our members. And then there's the Medicare Marketplace through Via Benefits. And we have information about all of these on our website, and our customer service folks can answer questions that you have. These Medicare Advantage plans are the only ones that are OGB sponsored. So if you enroll in one of these during annual enrollment, you will still have your OGB coverage. However, if you take the advice of Joe Namath or Joe Montana or Jimmy Walker, you're going to get kicked out of your OGB coverage. So all those commercials about save money, if you enroll in one of those plans, you're going to get kicked out of OGB. So just keep that in mind. A few reminders about Medicare. You cannot participate in the Pelican HSA 775 plan if you have Medicare. This is an IRS and CMS rule, not OGB's. If you are still an active employee and you become eligible for Medicare, you still have to switch to a different plan. Even though you're not enrolled in Medicare, you still have to switch. Rehired retirees who are returning to retiree status. If you were eligible for Part B but did not enroll due to still being actively working, you must begin the process of enrolling in Medicare Part B before returning to retiree status. And you can only be enrolled in one Medicare plan at a time. So if you choose a non-OGB Medicare plan, you will lose your OGB coverage and you may not be able to get it back. So if you're thinking about switching plan, please reach out to us and let us confirm that that is an OGB plan or not. Moving on to Live Better Louisiana, we are still offering the wellness checkups to get your $120 discount per year on your healthcare premiums. The campaign for the 2023 plan year credit is underway. If you're not familiar with this program, this is how it works. First and foremost, the primary plan member only is eligible. Right now, dependents are not eligible to participate. So only the policyholder can get the discount. You have a wellness checkup, your annual checkup. You can do this at a Catapult clinic that pop up around the state, or you can get the primary care provider form from our website and take it to your primary care physician, or you can take it to an Access Today health clinic to have it filled out. Then you'll need to send that form to Catapult by September 30th of 2022. You can email it to Catapult, you can mail it to Catapult, or you can fax it to Catapult. And all of that information is on the form. You can find a clinic near you by going to www.timeconfirm.com/OGB. Or you can call 1-877-841-3000 I do a monthly Live Better Louisiana newsletter that I include a chart of all of the clinics scheduled for that month, and I do send it to Jimmy every month. So hopefully if you are signed up for the email through RSEA, you get that. If you're not signed up for the email through RSEA, I suggest that you enroll, get your email to RSEA so that you can get this information sent to you at the beginning of the month. Next, some of you may be enrolled in the life insurance through Prudential. If not, you can still participate in these live seminars. We have partnered with Prudential to provide financial wellness education, and these are through virtual classes that Prudential offers monthly on various topics. You can register for any of these classes through the prudential.com/State of Louisiana OGB or at the register link, the cventme.me link. The financial wellness portal has over 300 articles, videos, interactive tools, and monthly webinars that are available to all of our members, whether you are enrolled in the Prudential Life Insurance or not. And we really encourage you to check those out. We have had tremendous positive feedback from our members who have already attended some of the webinars, and they said they get really valuable information from that. So we encourage you, even if you don't have the life insurance, to check out these webinars. Finally, if the following information has changed for you throughout the course of the year, you need to notify OGB as soon as possible. And that is your mailing address, your phone number, your email address, your employment status, namely if you were retired and you went back to work as a rehired retiree, if you change eligible dependents, or if you become Medicare eligible. Most importantly is that address, because we do mail those enrollment guides for annual enrollment each year, and we only mail those to our retirees. And every year we get huge stacks of them back to us as undeliverable. So just make sure that your address is correct with us if you have not been receiving those enrollment guides. Has some contact information if you have questions about your benefits that are benefit specific. Again, Access Today Health is a valuable tool for our members who enrolled in one of the Blue Cross plans. You can visit their website at accesstodayhealth.com to find a clinic nearest you. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Louisiana can be reached at 800-392-4089, or you can visit them at bcbsla.com/OGB. Express Scripts for non-Medicare folks is 1-877-417-2949. If you have Medicare, the Medicare Express Scripts Medicare number is 1-866-781-7533. The website is the same, express-scripts.com. Then we have Blue Advantage, which is the Medicare Advantage plan through Blue Cross and Blue Shield. If you'd like to learn more about that, see what it's about, you can visit it at the website on your screen. It's a really long one, so I'm not going to spell it out for you. Or you can call 866-508-7145. Same with Humana, Peoples. You can learn more about their plans through their websites, or you can call the numbers on your screen. Vantage Health Plan has, for their medical home HMO plan, their number is 888-823-1234. 1910. If you're in the Medicare Advantage plan or interested in more information about the Medicare Advantage plan, their number is also 888-823-1910. And then, of course, Via Benefits is the Medicare Marketplace where you can go and find the best fitting plan for you, as well as get that HRA of $200 a month. And that is also an OGB sponsored plan. Finally, how to get in touch with OGB. First and foremost is our website, info.groupbenefits.org. We have a wealth of information on this website for our members. You can also follow us on Twitter. We have videos on YouTube under the State of Louisiana Office of Group Benefits handle. And then we are also on Facebook, Louisiana Office of Group Benefits. Our customer service line is 1-800-272-8451. They are available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. You can also email customer service at ogb.customerservice@la.gov. They do check that mailbox daily, but they do get a lot of messages, so they answer them in the order that they are received. So if you don't get an answer right away, it's not because we're ignoring you. It's just we get a ton of emails from our members. So they will get to you, I promise. We are located in the Claiborne building behind the state capitol, and that address is 1201 North 3rd Street, and we are suite G159. They still have us following COVID protocols, so walk-in appointments at our office have to be made by appointment. You can't just, you used to be able to just walk in and say, I need to meet with someone at OGB, and they bring you down. Now we have to schedule time in a room on the first floor of the Claiborne building. So we highly encourage that if you need to come and meet with one of our customer service managers, to call and make an appointment ahead of time. And that is it for me. Again, thank you, Risa, for allowing us to participate today. And thank you for Access Health for providing the vehicle to do so.
Wendy, we have a couple of questions that have come up that are specific to OGB. So I'm going to go through a couple of those at this point in time. The first one is OGB supposed to notify Medicare that I have retired and that Medicare is now available to me?
No, you have to contact the Social Security office to do that.
All right. The next question is from Paul, and Paul asked, can I apply for Medicare on the Social Security website online?
I'm not sure. I haven't visited that website. I know that you can, I think you can go online and make an appointment to speak with a Social Security advisor, but that's not one that I honestly know the answer to.
Okay. Barbara asked the next question, and she asked, is there any hope that spouses can be put on the Live Better Wellness program?
We are always trying to find a way to include them. Unfortunately, it's just not cost effective right now. We are constantly working with Catapult and Blue Cross to come up with a way that would make it more cost effective to include the members, because while the member is not paying for the wellness visit and they are getting the discount, OGB still has to pay for that visit for you. So until we can get something worked out with Catapult and Blue Cross to get that cost down to where we can include the spouse, it's just going to be for the primary member right now. But we do meet with them twice a year and ask them to please, work with us on this.
Okay, Wendy, the next question is from Ronald, and he asked, I've not received my email from Live Better Louisiana about making my appointment day and time yet. Should I have gotten that yet?
Now, you have to go and make your appointment every year. Catapult does not keep track of who has and hasn't done that, that is on the member to make their appointment and get that form. If they're not going to go to one of the on-site Catapult clinics, then to get that form and go to their doctor or to Access Today to have it filled out. And then it's on the member to send it in as well.
All right. The next question's from Barry, and there's actually been several questions about this that relate to his question. And Barry's asking, is there anything that can be done to reduce the very high cost of drugs from the Express Scripts program?
Unfortunately, prescription drug costs went up 14% after the first of the year. So there's not much we can do about that. That the prescription, the pharmaceutical companies are the ones that have raised the rates on the prescriptions. Even if we still had MedImpact, those prescriptions would have gone up as well, simply because of that 14% increase in prescription drug costs. We try our best to get those costs down as best as we can without raising premium rates. So, we could probably get them down really low, but your premium rate would suffer because of that. So we try to keep it an even balance between the two.
Okay, Wendy, those are all of the questions that came up during your presentation. So we will now move on to our next presenter.
And I'm going to jump off. I have to go across the street to the Capitol. So
yeah,
I'm going to jump off. But you guys can, if they get any more questions, you can just email them to me and I'll see what I can do to get them answered.
Okay, we will. And that was the reason I wanted to get those to you in, because I knew you had to run away.
All
Okay.
right. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Wendy. All right. Next up is Mr. Frank Joubert, your RSE Legislative and Government Affairs Director. And I know that Frank is working there with Jimmy today in his office, and their mic seems to be unmuted. Mr. Joubert, are you with us? Okay, Jimmy, we're still having that trouble with your mic. I show it to be open, and now it's reopened again. Let's try again. Okay, Jimmy, you may have to log back out and log back in your computer in order for Mr. Joubert to be heard. They're logging out, should be back in just a moment. Again, please remember today's presentation will be posted live to the RSE website, as well as emailed out to all of the participants that registered. So you'll get a copy of the availability to get to the presentation, as well as a copy of the presentation also should be posted to the RSE website tomorrow. So I know Wendy gave a lot of great information that I know you'd want to access, so that you would want to get to a copy of the presentation to get that, as well as all the others too. We're still waiting for them to come back in. I'm looking for them now. Just bear with us. And they are logging right back in. We should hear from them shortly. Jimmy, I think you're live now. Can we hear from you? You or Mr. Joubert?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. We can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. All right. First of all, I would like to welcome everybody to the webinar and thank our President, Dave Thomas, and Director, Jimmy Anthony, as well as Access Today for sponsoring. And of course, want to recognize all of our RSEA board members for the great job they do keeping this organization up and running and doing everything they do on a volunteer basis. We appreciate everything they do for us. First thing I'd like to do is kind of give you an overview of what I'm going to try to cover today. I'm going to handle some legislative items that's particular to the Louisiana 2022 legislative session. A little bit over some OGB matters, that Wendy's covered thoroughly, but I'd like to recap a couple of those items as well. I'll try to give you a update on some Social Security legislation that's pending in Congress and some other things that are going on with the WEP and the GPO. And then anything else that comes up, I'm going to be happy to address any questions that you all might have in regard to any of the items that we're going to be addressing. And like I said, if I don't address it and you feel like you have a question that you want to get in, please feel free to ask it. But first of all, I'm going to kind of recap what Mr. Trey Boudreau said about the Senate Bill number 5. It's the one-time supplemental pay for the RSEA/Lasers retirees, some 49,000 that may or may not be eligible. There's some certain criteria that have to be met. Of course, the most onerous one is the one that I get most comments about is you have to be 60 or older, have to be retired at least 1 year. And those folks are currently not eligible if they're not age 60. And it's been an impediment to some extent. I've addressed that with the legislature in the past. I've confronted in a polite way chairmen of committees about that. The legislation was written that way when the experience account was started many years ago. I know when I retired, I was 51 years old, and I didn't get a COLA for 8 or 9 years myself till I turned age 60. And it was the same thing then, and it's still the same thing now. When I questioned the legislator about it and told him what the situation was, he says, you're 51 years old. He says, you're old enough to go out and get another job. He says, we're not going to give you a COLA. He says, we promised you a retirement check. We didn't promise you a COLA. I said, okay, if that's the way you feel about it, I guess I'll just have to take my lumps and move on. But as it turns out, that is a law. We have to follow the law. And if this bill passes, and again, as Mr. Boudreau said, it's kind of up in the state of flux right now. The proposal is to make a 13th check. Sometimes people use that terminology to describe it. It's actually a check equivalent to your monthly benefit up to $3,000. If you make $3,000 or more retirement, it would be capped at $3,000. The controversy comes in where, as it was already reported, Senator Peacock in North Louisiana would like to see that payment split over 2 years, and it would be $1,500 per year instead of the one-time $3,000 payment. We all go into the Senate Finance Committee today. I had asked everyone last week to send their comments to their senators, most notably any that are on the Finance Committee, and ask them to keep that bill intact in its present form. We'll see what happens today at 1 o'clock. There's another bill that's pending in the legislature, Senate Bill 438. Again, Lasers covered it briefly. It's Senate Bill 438. It's known as the Lasers New Retirement Plan. It would only affect rank and file employees. It would only affect those persons who have not yet come to work for the state, but would be future hires. So as it turns out, that plan would be new and different in many respects. It would be, I hate to use the word hybrid, but that's kind of what it is. It's a basic defined benefit plan that provides at least the equivalent of a Social Security benefit, but it has the defined contribution or DC overlay, which is an enhancement, which makes it much better than Social Security. And it's still going to be a good plan for people who are mobile in the workforce, who the millennials, as they call them, tend to move and they don't stay in state careers like we did for 30 or 40 years. And consequently, when they leave, most employees who leave state government don't have Social Security coverage. They walk away with their contributions only. This new plan will give them the right, after a certain period of vesting, to take their money along with any interest earnings and some employer contributions as well, so that when they walk away, they're not completely empty-handed, and therefore it's much more beneficial to them. I'm always worried about the ones that are staying behind, the ones who are going to keep working for the state as a career. And there is a nice feature in this plan, which Jimmy Anthony and I had discussed last year and asked Lasers to put it in the bill. And I guess Senator Price decided to do it along with consent of Lasers and other people who are impacted by this. And there's going to be a 2-year window of opportunity to opt out of the new plan back into the traditional defined benefit plan as we know it. That is in the bill. It's a pretty significant piece of legislation, and that made the bill better in our view. And of course, it's already been mentioned, it also has a built-in 2% COLA, cost of living allowance, which will be an automatic COLA every other year. So that's another feature that we like. And so again, we're going to be going to committee meetings in the next several days about this. We're also going to have a legislative committee meeting amongst the RSEA legislative staff, and we're going to come to some resolution on the exact position that RSEA is going to adopt. There's another pretty good piece of legislation that I saw go through committee a couple of days ago. It's House Concurrent Resolution number 11 by Representative Mike Johnson. He's out of District 27 in Pineville. And it's similar to resolutions in other years about the weaponry GPO, where he's memorializing or actually asking our legislative representatives to pass and sign on to any repeals or partial repeals of the weapon GPO as these bills move through Congress. As it turns out, all of Louisiana's legislative delegation in both the House and the Senate have signed on to one of the many repeal or partial repeal bills that's working their way through Congress. But the nice feature about this bill that came out in committee the other day, Representative Johnson testified that he feels that this is an illegal taking of money from folks who pay into the Social Security system and never derive any benefit, or at least not the benefit that they were promised. And he's asked Attorney General Landry, as well as the Attorney Generals of all the other 49 states, to look into pursuing this from a legal standpoint to see if there's any type of civil litigation that could be pursued in order to get the money paid back to the people who have contributed to the system over the years and yet are not deriving a benefit. So I thought that was a nice addition to the bill that we've never seen in the past. His bill also asked the other 49 state legislatures, in addition to Louisiana's legislature, to also contact their congressional delegations and ask them to sign on to these bills. A particular note in the Social Security arena is HR number 82 by Rodney Davis. That's the one that needs 290 signed co-sponsors to get this bill moved to the floor of Congress in the House of Representatives. It's up to 269 co-signers. We need 21 more to hit that 290 magic number, so a little bit more pushing, a little more urging, a few more phone calls, a few more emails might put us over the top and give us an opportunity to get this thing to the floor for a vote finally after many years. There's another bill that's working its way through the Louisiana legislative process. It has to do with a constitutional convention. It's HB 259 by Representative Tanner McGee. That bill was heard in committee a couple of days ago, and to our liking, and we did write and contact the legislators on those committees. It was House and Governmental Affairs, and we asked them to, if they're going to do a constitutional convention, to limit the constitutional convention to any items that do not have anything to do with Article 10, Section 29 of the Louisiana Constitution, which currently is our guarantee or protection of our benefits. In other words, the Constitution already provides that Article 10, Section 29 establishes a contract between the employer, i.e. the state of Louisiana, and the employees, that's us, who are members of the system, where those monies are a guaranteed benefit and is protected by the Constitution of Louisiana. So our goal was to have, if there is going to be a constitutional convention, to have that particular provision, Article 10, Section 29, removed from the call of the convention, where those items could not come up for a vote, could not be changed, and would continue to guarantee us the protection of our benefits and basically in perpetuity. There's a companion bill to that, HB 405 by Representative Mark Wright, that hasn't come up in committee yet, and it would also have to be addressed in the same fashion as HB 259, where we would like to have anything to do with Article 10, Section 29, your pension benefits stripped from any call that might come about as a result of this legislation if it does get through the process. I also wanted to mention some things about OGB. Ms. Wendy did a great job covering all the things involving Medicare and your other benefits through OGB. One of the things that came up in our OGB board meeting last Wednesday is our future projections. If y'all remember, back in the general administration, we had a thing called the OGB fund balance. That fund balance was over $500 million at one time. It was brought down basically almost to zero and depleted. It's now worked its way back up to about a projected $411 million, which is going to be as of the end of 2022 fiscal year, which ends on June 30th. It's projected to go to about 401 million. It'll be going down slightly by the end of 2023. And if we don't do anything about future premium increases, it would work its way all the way down to 129 million by 2026. So the proposal on the table that we haven't voted on yet, but we just reviewed the numbers, like I said last Wednesday, would be about a 5% rate increase for the next 3 years. That would keep the fund balance at 250 million. It would still continue to decline, but it would remain at around 250 million, which is just exactly the amount that the actuaries that we use to make these type of financial projections say that we should keep in our fund to make sure we can pay benefits should something befall us in terms of a disaster like a hurricane or tornado or something catastrophic where we wouldn't be able to collect premiums for a couple of months. That would give us essentially about a 2-month fund balance where we could pay benefits in spite of any type of adversity. So that's our projection. So we're probably looking at, unfortunately, a rate increase of around 5% for the next several years. That is quite favorable if you really put the pencil to it and take a look at it. Medical rates, excuse me, throughout the country in the United States, they go up probably 6% or more every year. So if we can hold the line at 5%, we'll be below the average, and we'll still be able to keep our fund balance intact and preserve your benefits to the greatest extent possible. Another thing on the OGB front, you may or may not know that OGB recently had an election for the retiree position that I occupy, which expires on June 30th. As fate would have it, I applied for the position by nominating petition signed by 50 some odd members. The petition was turned into OGB. Ironically, it was the only petition that was turned in, so it appears that I will win that seat by default, and there is no other person who was interested in fulfilling this role. So as it turns out, on or about July 1, I should be sworn in for another 6-year term. I don't know if there's been any official announcement of it yet, but that's the status of it as I appreciate the situation at this point in time. There are other Social Security bills in Congress that are pending. I already mentioned H.R. 82, which is a House House Resolution 82 by Rodney Davis. That's the one that has 269 co-signers. There's another one on the Senate side that both Kennedy and Cassidy, our senators, have signed on to. That's Senate Bill 1302 by Sherrod Brown. That one's pending. Both of those are total repeals. There's several other bills that have, I would call partial repeals. I'll run through the numbers real quick. H.R. 2337 by Richard Neal. H.R. 4788 by Julia Letlow from Louisiana. H.R. 3934 by Kevin Brady of Texas, which is also a partial repeal. So we do have several other items in the hopper, but we feel like the one that is most promising, and the reason I say that is because, again, as Trey Boudreau mentioned, there was a Louisiana contingent that went to Washington back on March 2nd and 3rd. They met with several key senators and representatives and staff members in Congress. Some of the folks that went were Maris LeBlanc. She's with the Municipal Employees Retirement System. Lasers attorney Tina Grant, also Morgan Robertson, another attorney from Lasers. There was a representative also from the Louisiana Retired Teachers Association, Clyde Hamner, and also a representative from TRSL, Teachers Retirement System of Louisiana, who attended. They had a real positive reception. We've picked up several votes, or I should say co-signers, since the inception of that trip about a month ago. But we're still looking to get to that 290 threshold, and we haven't reached that yet. So my advice would be to please keep your emails and telephone calls to the folks in other states who still haven't signed on. And from what Jimmy Anthony tells me this morning, there's some contacts that have been made in California and Texas, two very big states who have a large contingent of representatives in both of those states. and both of them are states that are affected by the WEP and the GPO. So we're hoping to pick up those last 21 votes just out of those 2 states alone. If we can do that, this thing will be on its way to the floor, and hopefully we'll get to 290 that we're striving for. As it turns out, there's not a whole lot else that's going on at this point with the legislation in Louisiana. It's a relatively light session in terms of retirement bills, except for the ones that I mentioned by Senator Price, which is the one-time supplemental pay and the MyLasers new retirement plan. But other than that and those constitutional amendments, it's a relatively light schedule from what I've seen. I really don't have anything else to add at this time. I'd like to, open it up for questions if anybody has any, and see if I can address them. And if there's any topic that I didn't cover, or one of the ones that I did cover, if you have any questions about it, I'll be happy to answer them at this time.
Okay, Frank, I'm going to the questions now, and the first one is from Dan. Dan asked, what's the difference between Senate Bill 5 and House Bill 31?
Senate Bill 5 is a one-time supplement that's going to be paid out this year by September 15th, if it passes. 31 is, I believe it's the one by Tanner McGee or I can't remember. No, Philip Tarr, I believe. That's what it's 31 and 32. That deals with a new set aside for future supplemental payments. So that's one that's starting from ground level. It would have to pass both houses. I believe it's, if I'm not mistaken, a constitutional amendment, in which case it would have to go to the voters for passage as well. So 31 is the one that would set aside the money for supplemental payments. 32 is the companion bill to that, and both of those would have to pass. And that would be dealing with future supplemental payments. It would have nothing to do with the one for this year, which is funded through the experience account, and the money's already been set aside for that. So it's not really an apples and oranges, but it's 2 separate pieces of legislation that don't have anything to do with each other in this particular session.
Okay, Frank, your next question is from Jackie, and she says, what can we do to help get those 290 votes?
Keep those emails and telephone calls going. Now, as I mentioned, all 6 of our Louisiana congressional delegations in the House have signed on. Both of our senators have signed on the Senate Bill 1302. So we don't really need to pressure them too much unless we can work on them to get their fellow congressmen and senators in other states to help us. That's where the impact needs to be made, is in the other states. Louisiana's already signed on. So I think if you have friends, relatives, even people who live in Louisiana at one time and now live out of state and have are being represented in Congress and the Senate by other folks in Louisiana, I think we can just keep calling and writing those folks and trying to get those last 21 votes. We can get this thing brought to the floor and hopefully succeed in at least getting through phase 1 of the process, which is the House side. Still has to go to the Senate side, and then it still has to be signed by the president. But I think that the role of us as individuals is to phone and email and to stay in contact with those representatives in other states other than Louisiana, while at the same time keeping in touch with the ones here in Louisiana as well.
Okay, next question's from Richard, and Richard asked, what federal legislation regarding WP is most likely to be voted on?
I'm thinking it's H.R. 82. It's the one that has 269 co-sponsors. It needs 290. We're only 21 people short of the co-sponsors. If you get to 290, I believe there's a way that it can be brought directly to the floor without, it'll bypass the committee process, and it's a quicker, more rapid approach, and it gets it to where we want it, at least on the House side. Again, we still have to go through the Senate side, but I would be putting my money on H.R. 82 if any of them at all has any chance of passing.
Okay, the next, I'm going to interpret this question a little differently than the way it was posed, but it's from a member that said, I used to get RSEA emails on bills up in the state legislature. Assume that he's asking the progress of those bills. Is that something that is ongoing, or where would someone go to sign up for those type emails.
Yeah, they should be, if they were getting them in the past, they should still be getting them. We sent out a couple in the last couple of weeks about Senate Bill 5 in particular. One was addressed to everyone, asking them to contact the folks on the Senate Retirement Committee. The last one was similar, but we asked them to contact the folks on Senate Finance Committee. So those issues are already ongoing. If for some reason you're not getting them, I would say just call the office here at RSEA and have them add you to the email list. Maybe for some reason or another it got dropped off, or somehow or another you're not getting them. Sometimes things go to your spam folder too. You might want to check that. But they are still going out. It's just a matter of if you signed up for them. If you're not getting them, call the office here and we can check to make sure that you're added to the list if you're not already on there.
Okay, Ben, there's your answer to your question. Call the RSEA office. Okay, Frank, those are all of the questions that came up during your presentation that are regarding the particular issues that you brought forward. So we will. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. I know the COLA situation is something that none of us are happy with. We haven't had one since 2016, and that's not what was really intended when we put that legislation in place many years ago. LASERS, working with the other systems, and I believe Mr. Boudreau mentioned this, but I want to reiterate it, is planning on drafting some legislation to be brought forward in 2023 that would restructure the COLA process the way we currently observe it and give us a better opportunity going forward to get more frequent COLAs. So, it won't happen this year, but I'm optimistic that LASERS is going to move forward with the legislation in 2023 and hopefully it'll be better for everybody in the years to come. Because it's really very much of a hardship on our folks to wait 6 or 7 years. And LASERS even said the other day in committee, chances are we probably wouldn't have got one again in 2023 based on the current interest rate environment and so forth and investment earnings. So that's why it's so important that this bill this year passed to give us something as a kind of a bridge to the future where if this new legislation passes in 2023, we can be on the right track to getting more frequent COLAs. And as LASERS fund balance continues to increase and the funded percentage increases, those COLAs will go from the 1.5 to 2, 2.5, and 3% range, depending on inflation and again on interest earnings and so forth. But by the same token, I'm really looking forward to next year where we see that legislation be introduced and we have a chance to improve the COLA process that'll be more beneficial for all 49,000 of our retirees. And that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm always available if you need to call me. I'm at 504-289-9424. That's my cell phone, 504-289-9424. Thank you so much for your membership in RSEA, and thank you for tuning in today.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jobert. All right. That's really wrapped up the presentation forum of this morning, and I just want to give you a few reminders about the Access Today Health Program. That first of all, the Access Today Health Program is a benefit that is already prepaid for all members of the 4 major plans: Magnolia Local, Magnolia Open Access, Magnolia Local Plus, and Pelican HR 1000. And we now have over 100 urgent care and primary care locations in Louisiana so that you can get convenient access no matter where you live. And remember, as an Access Today member, there's no copay, no out-of-pocket expenses, no appointment necessary, and no extended wait times. That has become a difficult situation through COVID, but now that has calmed down and all of our clinics are being able to see folks on a very, very consistent and quick basis. And remember, this is the time of year, the pollen is out there, so a lot of folks are affected with respiratory, and you can get relief by visiting one of our clinics. But colds, flu, basic x-rays, labs, infections, basic vaccinations, preventative checkups. Very important to remember, your Catapult Wellness Form can be completed by an Access Today clinic, and you may be able to get that done without an appointment necessary. So all you need to remember is that Access Today is not insurance. It's a prepaid membership by the Office of Group Benefits, and it will not affect Medicare benefits, health plan benefits, or any other insurance coverage that you may have. And we want to make sure that you know that you have choices and options for your care. And we would encourage you, if you have a primary care physician that you normally use, this does not affect your relationship with your primary care physician at all. We're an option for all of those members of the Retired State Employees Association to be an option, especially in those off hours times, on weekends or when it's not convenient to get an appointment. Getting a Catapult Wellness visit is really easy. All you need to do is to visit your local Access Today clinic, bring in the Catapult form with you with the top part of the form completed. After your checkup, the clinic will get that form back to you. They'll call and let you know it's ready. And then you're responsible for mailing it back to Catapult by September 30th. You'll save $10 a month on your next year's health insurance premiums. You can download the form. It's available both on the OGB website as well as the OGB section of the Access Today website. Also, just want to tell you a little bit about all of the new clinics that we've opened. And this is just a short list of some of those clinics that have been opened across the state. Baker, Bastrop, Baton Rouge, Brobridge, Crowley, Denham Springs, Donaldsonville, Franklin, Houma, Independence, Jennings, Lafayette, Lake Charles, Metairie, Natchitoches, New Roads, Pearl River, Pineville, Ponchatoula, Ruston, and Sulphur. There are new clinics in these areas in addition to the existing Access Today Health clinics that we already have in these cities. So we have even more options for you to get care. And we will continue to add clinics in needed areas as time goes on. But we just wanted to make sure that you knew that we now have clinics all over the state of Louisiana. Our map is even getting even more red dots all over it with clinic locations, hopefully very, very close to where you live. And that is all available through using our app to be able to find a clinic that's closest to you, or giving us a call or logging into the website. If you need a new Access Today membership card, simply give us a call. We'll get one on its way to you. But an Access Today membership card is not necessary for you to have an Access Today Health Clinic visit. All you need is your health insurance card and to let the clinic know that you're an Access Today Health member. Again, the app and our website's the fastest way to get the clinic that's closest to you, because we're continuously adding clinics to our a network of clinics all over the state. And those clinics are changing. And the app tells you which one is closest to you at any point in time. So if you're traveling in a different part of the state, you can always find an Access Today Health Clinic and then get direct driving locations directly from that. Questions of any type? Call us. 800-797-9503. You can get someone live on the phone when you call into our office during business hours, and we'll answer your questions or help you find that nearest clinic. So now I'd like to bounce back to the questions that you've been asking during the presentation today, and I'm going to run through some of these, and then we'll try to open up the panelists to where they can answer each one of these. Let's see. Patricia asked, are there any Access Today clinics outside of Louisiana? Yes, as a matter of fact, there are. We have clinics in Alabama, Mississippi, and we just opened our first clinic in Texas in December. So we do have clinics outside the state of Louisiana. Let's see. I'm going to go on down to my next question here. Some of these have already been answered. This one is a little different, and I'm not sure who can answer this. Perhaps Mr. Boudreau or someone from Lasers, or perhaps Mr. Jobert. Will the supplemental payment affect my Social Security benefit due to WEP? That's from Galen. So I'm going to run over here to our panelists.
The answer is no.
Okay.
It will
The
not
answer,
affect it.
all right, the answer came in. That will not affect that particular element. All right, let's see. There was a question about applying for Medicare on the Social Security website. We've had another member that has actually chimed in on that and said, yes, that is possible, that you can get it done. You simply have to just register online with Social Security Administration. Okay, flipping over here. Paul from Denham Springs asked, I'm an RSEA member who pays dues annually. How do I change to laser deductions for dues?
Can you hear me, Scott?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Go ahead, Jimmy.
You can call our office and we'll get you signed up, or you can call Lasers themselves. And it usually takes, a couple of weeks to get you signed up, but it can be done over the phone. Just give us a call.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that Mr. Joe Bear will be able to answer this next one. Do the proposed new retirement plans affect current employees or current retirees in any way?
To the best of my knowledge, it would not affect any current retirees or current employees. In fact, it doesn't even affect all new hires. It only affects the Lasers rank and file. And what I mean by that, it wouldn't affect judges, and also does not affect the hazardous duty occupations either. Only the rank and file employees who have yet to be hired. So it's future employees, i.e. future retirees, which could be years and years before they actually retire. But it will affect no current employees or current retirees.
That's correct. It's anybody hired after January 1st of 2024, rank and file members.
Okay. All right. The next question, several of you might be able to address this one. What is the dollar amount of the OGB fund balance? And has it now stabilized since the end of the Jindal administration?
Actually, it's about, I think, 400 million. I just said a little while ago. It's very much stabilized, and our minimum fund balance that we're ever going to allow it to get to is 250 million, which is enough to cover 2 months worth of benefit payments. So we feel like those things are in the rearview mirror. We're in good shape now. We're in the $400 million range, and even with just a small premium increase of about 5% over the next 3 or 4 years, we're still going to maintain it at the $250 million level or somewhere very close to that number. So we're in good shape, and those days are behind us. We're not going to let that ever happen again on my watch. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Very important question there. Panelists, I think that I've covered just about all of the questions. Some of the questions were repetitive, and some of them are very specific to OGB. So I will make sure that Wendy Landry and OGB gets those questions, and we'll get some responses back on the specific operations of OGB, since she's not on the call right now. Then I'll just go back to David or Jimmy. Any closing comments or anything else you'd like to bring before the group?
Sure, I'll make a couple comments. Just again, thank everybody for attending, and particularly thank you, Kenny, and Access Today for your hosting this broadcast. I think it's been very worthwhile. I'm glad to see so many folks attending. So, Jimmy, you have any other comments?
No, I just would like to reiterate what you said and thank Access Today for allowing us this opportunity. It's been great. We had a lot of people sign in. And if you have any questions whatsoever and we can help you with, even if it's an OGB question or a lasers question, give us a call here at the office, 225-930-0961. Thanks.
Oh, and Kenny, one other thing for non-members, please call the office, and we'd love for you to sign up as a member. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. And again, it's been our pleasure to host today's session. I think you did have a great session, a lot of good participants, lot of really, really great questions that I think we were able to answer pretty quickly to most members' satisfaction. So thank you all for participating. Again, this presentation has been recorded, will be available to members from the RSEA website. It'll takes it about 24 hours to actually produce and be up. And then the presentation itself will also be available. So thank you all very much. And please let us know at Access Today if you have any questions for us. Thank you all very much.
Thank you for a very good presentation. Thank you so much.
One more thing. We do have our virtual chapter meetings website. You can go to that. It's on our front page. Just click on that, and we have some additional information from some other partners already posted, and you can access this at any time and view it from the comfort of your home during whatever time you want. And soon we'll have this webinar posted alongside it.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.